Impala AI has developed a system that optimizes the use of processing power for organizations running AI applications. Its platform reduces the load on servers and allows continuous model operation while saving up to 13 times in processing costs compared to existing systems. And with me is the CEO and founder of Impala AI, Noam Salinger. Great to have you here. And let's start with this. What problem are you solving?
So first of all, I'm happy to be here. So thanks for hosting me. So basically, we help data-focused enterprises run AI at scale without any limits. What we witness in the market is that if you look at how current solutions were built, they were built for the age of scaling AI to production. And many enterprises are starting to hit that limit, that glass ceiling, sort of not letting them gain the full potential and the full value you can get away from foundation models.
Yeah. So what's fundamentally broken then in how companies are currently run and scale their workloads?
So what we've seen is that if you look at inferencing and how it's been built, the core assumption behind it is that generative AI we use for chat-based applications, interactive, very synchronous, low in volume, like ChatGPT. That makes a lot of sense. That was the first application that rolled out into the world. But what we're seeing from enterprises is that a lot of the usage is very data processing oriented. It's very high in volume, very asynchronous, very similar to classical data processing. Mm-hmm. And basically the infrastructure, the underlying infrastructure wasn't built to run these types of use cases. And that's where you see it starting to break. So basically what we've done is we've rebuilt everything from the ground up to be built for the trillion token era. Mm-hmm. We run large scale, data processing heavy use cases.
And I see that you're making compute quiet, reliable, and universal.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean in practice?
Yeah, we like to compare it to electricity. Currently infrastructure, inference specifically, is very messy. It's hard to get it right. It's in the intersection between compute, the actual accelerators themselves, AI, and cloud, which is very hard to get this sort of expertise within enterprises. And that makes it very hard to get the full potential out of the models. If you look at the past 3 years, a lot of work has been done into training these models and getting it to a point where you can actually have the capability to run them. Now we're at a point where inference is where the real value is. That's the workload that brings business value to the world. And it's currently very hard to get right. And our vision to make it transparent and easy to use for every enterprise. Similarly to how Databricks, for example, has done it for big data a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We're doing it similarly for large language models and making it
the LLM. So, exactly. And how does Impala then actually make the inference invisible for AI teams?
Mm-hmm. So the concept is that we want to make it feel like it's serverless on one angle. So you don't need to worry about infrastructure, compute, availability around that, and all of that heavy lifting that's currently being done. But on the other hand, you want to keep those primitives needed for the enterprise to run these types of use cases. You want it to run secure. You want it to be where the data is. You want it to be as compliant and relevant for these types of enterprises. So basically what we do is we provide an infrastructure that runs on the customer's environment and gives you all of these primitives while providing a serverless-like experience and very easy to use, and you don't need to think about all of that heavy lifting.
And then walk us through the approach of the company and how does it differ from traditional cloud or GPU-based approaches?
So first of all, I think our team comes from a very diverse background. So from cloud computing to low-level engineering to AI. And basically what we've done is we've rethought how you basically build infrastructure in the new age of inference, which is like the frontier of where everything is happening. And we've sort of broken down a lot of the core assumptions that are currently being done and done it differently, basically.
Do you use automation at all to make the process more efficient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right, and how
for the end
work?
customers, it feels transparent. It feels like nothing's done. So for example, when an application needs compute capacity, then basically we take care of all of the interaction between the machines and what's needed to make it to work. And the customer doesn't need to worry about it. And the way we do it is we're able to sort of profile the compute needs coming in from different applications from the customer and basically spinning up the needed hardware by doing a lot of low-level optimization to get the most out of these machines, to make it efficient, to make it private, to make it available for these applications to run.
And then how do you balance the performance with the cost efficiency across all the platforms, cloud, everything?
So we try to get the best unit economics you can. So it's combined of two main components. One of them is actually optimizing what you can get out of a single machine. So we've done a lot of work of rethinking how you can get the most flops out of each machine. So that's one component out of it. And the second one is being able to obtain capacity and sort of match between the needed capacity to run a certain workload and what's currently available in the market. So we built sort of a dynamic system that allows us to basically obtain capacity, make the most out of it, and make it very easy and streamlined for the customer.
Yeah. And then how does, the AI infrastructure space is crowded. So what makes your layer of stack essential rather than optional for companies?
So first of all, we're very much focused as the initial market we've targeted. We're looking only at inferencing, only built for production at ridiculous scales. We only look at trillion tokens. So very large scale applications, not experimentation, no customization. That's the first market we're targeting. Going forward, we'd expand and offer additional services on top of our platform. But I think that sort of helps us differentiate in a market that, as you mentioned, there are quite a few competitors. And that allowed us to be very competitive and be very differentiated from day one. We focus on these asynchronous use cases, very high in volume. And if that's your use case, would be the go-to.
And of course, NVIDIA dominates chips, hardware. How does Impala fit into the AI ecosystem?
So NVIDIA are a partner of ours. So we're working very closely with them to get the latest out of what's possible to get out of machines. And we work hand in hand to make this capacity, provide business value for the end customers.
Yeah. So talk about how you see your company and the industry kind of evolving as things get more specialized, smaller, faster. Where do you see this going?
So in the past couple of years, we've seen the size of the model becoming enormous. We're currently at a point where we have models, hundreds of billions of parameters, and even larger than that. And basically where we see the market going is there's a lot of speak about agents and automation. And basically there's this consensus that not too far away from today will be the point where we see machines integrated as part of our lives. And I'm not a big believer of machines replacing our work. I think it's more around enhancing and improving our day-to-day. And I think we are about a year away from a point where this will be fully commoditized. We'll see this integrated across every different business sector and every different use case that you can imagine. And I think this is just the beginning. We're going to a world where inferencing would be something that's a big part of our lives.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see how things unfold. So what's driving the enterprise adoption of AI infrastructure right now?
I think that at the get-go, it was more around experimentation. The last 2 years, enterprise was trying to see how to utilize this new technology. Everyone agrees that it's the most transformative technology we've ever seen as humans. In the first few years, we'll try to see how to make any use of it. We're currently at the point where they're more focused around business first, seeing what the problem you want to solve, whether it's back office ambient agents, automating back office tasks, or whether it's something that's customer facing and automating a human task in a partial way or fully automated way. And I think that's sort of what's currently driving business adoption is like where you actually see this impacting the top line or the bottom line and not just experimentation.
Yeah, that's really the bottom line, I think, for many of these companies. And then finally, how do you see Impala kind of fitting into this and shaping the next generation of AI infrastructure?
So as I mentioned, we're targeting the enterprise market. We want to make it easy for them to get it up and running and get it to production as fast as possible. Not worry about stuff like availability, around cost, around privacy. Make that as easy as possible and focus on what really matters, which is building business-driven solutions and augmenting your business. So that's where we see us fitting in. So, the partner to make it happen. Okay.
Fascinating to hear from, somebody on the front lines of all this big change. So, Noam, thank you so much for coming in and explaining Impala AI.
It was a pleasure being here.